it's Mrs. Willard here from the Westfield Art Room. I am here by myself. I wish you were here, but we are going to do the very best we can to be little artists wherever we are, anywhere artists. So today we are going to start a lesson that's going to be a two-part lesson, okay? And we are going to focus on a genre of painting and drawings, artwork called a landscape. And this is kind of a big word, but if you break it down, we can understand it a little better. The word land and scape. And of course, land is the outside, the ground, the earth. And scape means a big view of something. So a landscape is a picture of outside, usually from pretty far back, so you see a big area of sky and the ground, okay? So that is a landscape, and we're going to talk about a landscape today. So the video that I'm asking you to watch this week is about an artist named Grandma Moses. This is an example of Grandma Moses' work. They are almost all landscapes. And it's going to tell you about her some in the video. She is called Grandma Moses because she did not start making art until she was a grandma. She was very old. She worked on a farm and raised her family. And then when she got elderly, she needed something to do and she started painting. And she lived to be 101 years old. So she had a nice long career, even though she did not start until she was a grandma. She was not trained as an artist. She didn't go to art school. She learned how to do things herself, and that makes her fall into the category of a folk artist. And so we are going to use her work as a guiding work for us. She grew up on a farm in a rural community. She lived in the mountains of upstate New York and in Virginia, not very far from us. And all of those areas look very similar to Surry County. And I just think that is the most beautiful landscape there is. I have been to the desert, it's beautiful. I have been to the ocean, it's beautiful. I have been to lots of landscapes, but I always am glad to get back to Surry County, where I just think it is super beautiful. And it looks very similar to the Grandma Moses landscapes. Now hers are very old-timey, and we are gonna model that in an old-timey landscape. And so I want to show you how we're gonna lay out that landscape today. You are only gonna be drawing this week. Okay, this is a drawing project for this week. We will be adding color next time. So I'm gonna move to my new whiteboard setup. You might have seen that if you have come to one of my hangouts, and we're gonna talk about how to draw a landscape, okay? So this is my paper. A landscape always has a horizon line. The horizon line is where the land or earth and the sky meet, okay? If you are standing and looking outside, the ground is on the bottom and the sky is on the top. Now you could twist your body weird and turn upside down, and you could lay down and look up at the sky, but the more conventional thing is for the ground to be on the bottom and the sky to be on the top. And somewhere they meet, okay? There's a place where you stop seeing the sky and you start seeing the ground, and it's called the horizon line. So we're gonna look over here on a picture that's already up. I hope you can see it. This is another farm landscape, okay? So in this case, the horizon line is a hill up here, okay? So the above is the sky, the cloudy sky, and here is the background with a big hill, okay? And this is the foreground in the field where the people are working, harvesting the wheat. So this is a fall landscape, okay? So the horizon line again is up here in this one. Your horizon line can be almost anywhere on your paper, but if your horizon line is up high, you have a little bit of sky and a lot of ground. If it's down low, you have a lot of sky and a little bit of ground. And we're going to talk about that as we recreate a Grandma Moses composition. Okay, so Grandma Moses puts her horizon lines almost always up high on her paper, okay? Because what she wants to focus on is the things that are happening on the ground. The barns, the houses, the carriages, the wagons, the people. Remember, they're old-timey. Everything is old. There are not helicopters and airplanes and cell phone towers and cars. It is old-timey to be a Grandma Moses painting. So you want to put your horizon line up high on your paper. So you have a little bit of sky and a lot of ground, okay? And so because we live in the foothills, it might be kind of flat down low, but just like in our painting on the wall, the mountains come, you see those in the background almost always where you look. I live right in Pilot Mountain, so when I look out my door, I see actually Pilot Mountain from my backyard. So you could do Pilot Mountain if that's what you see, or just some big rolling hills, okay? And so just by doing this, you have set up a landscape, okay? And now what you are going to do is think about all those things that you might see in the landscape. Your landscape, it doesn't look very different today than it did back in Grandma Moses's time. Look for the things in the video that make you feel happy about a rural outside landscape. If a building is up front, like for example, it's going to be pretty big because it's up close. You might put in a church because yes, of course they had churches back in the old days as we do right now. So you could put in a church, okay? And it could have a walkway coming out because you would need a road to get to it, right? Okay? You can have a barn. All of these things are things you could put in your old-timey landscape. Look at all of those details. You can have animals. There's our barn. There's our barn lot. You could put some piggies in it. Okay, so a fence to keep in your animals. In the background, you could have fields with corn or beans or whatever you would be growing on your farm. Okay? But everything that's on the ground needs to be below that line. Okay? If I put a house up here, that would represent a house that was floating in the sky. It would be like up. It would be like a fantasy. It would not be like a real thing. So that is going to be a no-no. Okay? And so for this week, just don't put anything up in the sky. We're going to talk about the sky next week when we color. For right now, you're going to focus on the land and think about the things that you want to put in your old-timey Grandma Moses inspired landscape. So work on that this week and just keep it a drawing. And next week we will talk about how we will add color to it. We will talk about the sky more. Okay? So have a wonderful week, boys and girls. Work hard. If you have questions, just email me through my Haiku Messenger and jump on next week, this week, to our Google Live, and I can answer more questions and talk to you about it. So take care, boys and girls.